Hello, I'm Johnny, welcome to the gun shop. Today we're going to be reviewing this, the Perazzi MX2008. First things first, it comes in this very nice box if you pay for it. Very nice quality case with Perazzi stamped into it with 3 combination locks. These 2 locks pop open, and when you open this case it needs to be opened full flat. It's because you have 2 very distinct compartments. The bottom half is for your stock, and obviously being a Perazzi you have a massive amount of options, big glove grips, extra drop down, so it's a really nice big stock hole. That's actually quite a nice feature. As held in with our little Velcro arm there. You have shims for your stock, a little maintenance kit that actually doesn't belong to this gun but is really helpful for adjusting the rib, a tool for adjusting your comb, and a bunch of manuals, paperwork and that sort of thing, which is all very delightful. Also provides you with a stock tool so you can pop your stock on and off very easily. In the other half of your cabinet, your gun case, you undo these 2 bits of Velcro, pop it open and you have 2 slots for 2 barrels. This gun only comes with the 1, however when you order Perazzi you can obviously order multiple barrels. As you can see now, let's pop this away. The Perazzi MX2008 is a high rib trap gun. So, let's pop it together and have a look at it. So, starting at the back of this gun you have a Perazzi pad. They're quite hard, but actually I find harder pads probably actually in reality are a bit more forgiving because they absorb the recoil a little bit better. I mean it sounds stupid, but you got to think the pressure actually coming through here will make this soft. Something that is over soft to begin with actually doesn't quite give you as much quality recoil reduction as much as just a softer feeling in the shoulder, if that makes any sense whatsoever. The stock is Monte Carlo, as you can see, with a very high comb. And as you can see, they've bellied out the stock here to try and lose a bit of weight, which is very nice. You're not actually wielding something that's 9.5 pounds, you're just wielding something that is about 8.5 pounds, which is, I mean, it's nice. Obviously, when you're ordering this, you can order it with a full bellied stock if you want, but why would you have a gun quite that heavy? I don't know. This gun is fitted with extra grade wood, and as you can see, it is very pretty. You can't let that speak for itself. Hand checkered, and the checkering on all Perazzis is generally fantastic. Let's flick you around so you can see the other side of this stock. Alright, let me just pop the adjustable comb tool out, and I'm going to pop this gun apart actually because it's really big. Suddenly that rib just makes it really awkward to handle. So it comes apart just like any other Perazzi, very simple. As you can see, you have these rather large locking faces that go into the back of the action and the sprung-loaded ejectors there. Again, fairly standard, but fairly standard on a Perazzi is still very good. Just pop the case open, get the tool. And just the top lever let off, by the way, is just there. So you press that in with the back of your thumb and the top lever will sit nice and flat. Alright, so the adjustable comb comes with a nice tool, Perazzi branded tool. It just goes in and you can undo that, undo this, and your whole comb will move off. As you can see, you have plenty of markings on the underside there, so that's pretty handy in terms of replicating where you need to put it. So you can almost set this gun up for a couple of different types of trap, which is good actually. You know, it's nice to be able to replicate stuff, and like I said, it comes with a bunch of shims so you can set this comb more or less where you want it. It goes in very well, and everything Perazzi is very well engineered, as we know, so you don't really expect any less than that. Anyway, they do up, and you don't have to do them that tight either, which is really pleasant. They kind of have a very pleasant bite point. I know it sounds stupid, but yeah, it's true. The safety on here is non-selective. But obviously when you're coming to take the trigger out you'll need to push that up to take the trigger out, as you can see, but we'll get onto that later. The whole action is blacked. The entire action is blacked with some very nice engraving, but like the MX2000 really it's a good quality gun, very similar to the MX8 mechanically. In fact some would say almost identical to the MX8 mechanically, but there's nothing wrong with that. All you're paying for is a little bit more engraving, and with the MX2008, a high rib, which we'll come on to now. here it is, the monstrous step-up rib that is on the MX2008. Obviously Perazzi have a real big heritage for trap guns, having won plenty of Olympic medals with these guns and plenty of Commonwealth medals. They are extremely popular in the professional community. Brilliant. So, the MX2008 has this extremely high rib. It is a slightly tapered rib, there's not too much taper to it, and it is adjustable. To adjust it, you have these tiny little things just here. You put a tool in that it doesn't come with, but there is one in there. You pull these back and then the actual teeth will sit in different heights. So again, you can set it up pretty much how you want in terms of point of aim and point of impact. I believe you can set it all the way up from about 60-40 or 40-60 all the way up to about 70-30, 80-20. And then obviously you can adjust that comb so you can really make it shoot as high as you like, which obviously for trap shooters is very good. But you can take this off and you can put on anywhere down to a 15mm rib that will come on the MX2003, I believe. But in reality, again, probably should have bought an MX2003 if that's what you wanted. Alright, it is quite a structure, isn't it? I mean, just looking at it, it's a hell of a structure. But there's nothing wrong with that. The only thing is, obviously, if you're going to shoot one of these guns, it's probably worth knowing how to shoot, so definitely not a first gun. In terms of cost, these guns new are about 9,000. This one is second hand in very, very good order, and it's about 5,750. If you look, there's some slightly more abused models, and that's something certainly when you're looking for one of these you want to bear in mind, is that some of them have been used for trap shooting, which can involve a lot of pulling the trigger. Certainly for a lot of trap practice, a lot of people will be out there shooting 300 shots of a weekend, unlike a sporting gun that might have only had 50 a weekend for a bit of fun. So beware when you're buying one of these that it hasn't been absolutely demolished. But apart from that, there's not a lot else to say. Non-adjustable gold-plated trigger, and that's her. So, as we can see, it's a bit unusual looking, but it's got some absolutely lovely features. How does it handle? Like all Perazzis, it's fairly good. I'd say this one's a little bit rear heavy. However, if you'd put a half decent length of barrel on there, sort of 31.5 or 32 inch option, you could probably get that weight to go forward a little way. However, it certainly makes for a slightly more lively gun than perhaps a trap gun usually would be. The whole point of this, obviously, is that you don't have to get your head down, and in fact the person who had this before wasn't a trap shooter but was someone who had a bit of a bad neck and needed a gun to get them through whilst they were getting better. The whole point of this gun, like I said, is that the gun comes entirely to your face. You don't have to put your head down at all onto the rib. A brilliant concept, no less. So, apart from trap, what else can you shoot with it? Not a lot. You know, the problem with these super high ribs, and I'm not talking about stuff like the MX2003 and MX2005, the 15 and the 25mm ribs, both of which, by the way, can be retrofitted to this gun, so you can actually turn this gun, with the purchase of a new rib for a few £100s, you can turn this gun into a slightly less extreme example. And other combs are available as well, so you can sort of drop it down to match. Just a nice idea, and actually a pretty good thought if you want something a bit more versatile for the sake of an extra, let's say £1,000, you'll have this gun kitted out as 3 guns. Not a bad idea. It's a trap gun. It's a very much out and out trap gun. The problem with the high rib, certainly for those who shoot sporting with things like this, is you kind of struggle to get aggressive. You can't really get into the gun. And although it's fantastic for a lot of things, as soon as you're out of, let's say, the trap circle, the trap comfort zone, you'll find yourself actually fighting against the gun, and that's not great. However, for those who, again, if you've got a bad neck, you don't have a lot of option but to have this immense Monte Carlo and this very, very high comb to very, very high rib mixture. This gun, as we said, has been teagued. They come fixed choke, but a teaguing does help. As we all know, it makes the gun certainly a little bit better, or a little bit more resale, a little bit more all-round. And this gun, being a sporting gun, or as it was used for sporting, has had something a little bit more open popped in there. So what we really like is the dropout trigger, as we mentioned before, and that's really simple. You press the safety off, and you press the safety all the way forward, and your whole trigger unit will drop out. Being the same action base as an MX2000, the dropout trigger is available with spares, and you can get ones with flat springs, or as we like to call them, V-springs, or coil springs. Personally, I prefer the flat or V-spring, but the coil springs are probably a little bit more reliable, maybe, last a bit longer. There's not much reason to have them apart from the fact they're perhaps a little bit cheaper to maintain in the long run. But buy a V-spring. They are better. There's no ifs or buts about it. Again, that trigger unit pops back in very simply. If you just hook the tongue under the action, pop the whole block in, roll it in, push the safety right all the way to off, and it will just drop in, safety off, and when we go. It's just about getting it located just right. Something with a Perazzi you never want to do is push it around. For those of you Perazzi lovers, you know they're very, very hard guns in terms of the amount of abuse they get. However, they do need looking after, unlike other guns, to get the longevity out of them. You know, they don't have the chronoline barrels, certainly on this model, so they do last a little bit longer. When ordering one of these, if you're going new, and I think they're about 8.5, 9 grand, you can spec it pretty much however you want. Probably worth going to the factory to get the stock made and custom fitted for you at no real extra charge. You know, they have, what, 27 different 4-inch styles and multiple stock styles. This particular one is with an SC2 Plus wood stock, and as you can see, it is very, very pretty. But again, if you're after an out-and-out working gun, the extra grain wood is something you could probably live without. But then for the extra cost, it's probably worthwhile because this is absolutely beautiful. Anyway, that's quite enough of this little one. That's all for now. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.